Rick and Sharon, we've been tracking Sandy all day, and right now, still off the coast of New Jersey or making landfall already, as you may know. Several watches and warnings in the area. Want to focus on these right now. Take a look at the pink, green, orange on your screen. We're looking at least 24 watches and warnings out there. We'll have more for you. Hurricane force winds expected over the next 48 hours. Back to you. Rick and Sharon, take a look really quick here. We've got several watches and warnings in the area. We've got hurricane force wind warnings in effect through the afternoon, but looks like we could see very strong wind gusts for the next 24, even 48 hours. As we get a look at your tropical satellite, you're going to see this system was pretty tropical, but right now it's starting to turn into a cold core system. What does that mean? It's sort of a typical winter storm. Again, it was part hurricane, now part winter storm. Take a look at all of the snow it's producing just to its west, and wind gusts are still very impressive. These are your sustained wind speeds all along the eastern seaboard right there. Atlantic City at 48 degrees, Philly at 36, not degrees, but miles per hour. New York, the winds coming in onshore at 39 miles an hour. Again, these are your sustained winds. We're getting reports of the frontages of buildings getting blown off. The crane, again, you may have heard on West 57th Street right there, also just waiting for that to budge at this point. Getting a look at hurricane tracker, you're going to see Sandy continuing to make its way inland. No longer a hurricane, it's an extratropical cyclone at this point, but we're still deeming it a superstorm. So with that, Sandy is combining with low pressure sitting to the west, making for a massive superstorm at this point, continuing to make its way inland. As it does, not only are we expecting rain, wind, lightning, thunder, but we're expecting snow to the west. West Virginia expecting feet, maybe 3 to 4 feet at this point. Blizzard conditions, and we even have blizzard warnings up as well. Sandy is currently sustained at 75 miles an hour, eventually slowing down to about 35 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour, but still doing damage along the way. Sandy was a hurricane earlier today. It was a Category 1 storm. No longer the case, but at one point, pressure dropped to 943 millibars. So that was the lowest pressure recorded north of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. So we set some major records today. We're going to continue to track Sandy for you in our local forecast. That's all coming up. Rick and Sharon, back to you.
All right, thanks.
And there, you just saw a live coverage from CNN on the coverage of the storm. The tri-state area hit. One of the hardest places to be hit is New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, widespread power outages, flooding, you name it.
Now, Sandy was a hurricane, and as you've explained to us before, our meteorologist, Evelyn Taft, by the time it hits landfall, it usually gets downgraded, and it becomes post-tropical storm is what we heard.
Right, post-tropical, right.
What's the order of will it continue to be downgraded?
Well, it will, but it's a whole different beast. This is why the storm is so special, and this is why we're calling it the superstorm, because usually you have a hurricane, it hits land, and then it starts to lose steam completely, it fizzles out, and then we're done. This isn't the case. What's going on with Sandy is it's hitting land, it made landfall, and it's combining with another storm that was sitting to the west. So that was a very cold core storm coming in from the Arctic. So it's actually turning into more of a winter storm now as opposed to a tropical storm. So it's picking up speed again as the two combine, and it's going to make its way up through the East Coast and up into the Midwest even as well. So we've got your hurricane track, even though Sandy is technically now 39 mile an hour sustained winds. These are your onshore winds in New York right now, meaning wind gusts are above that. We've seen wind gusts around 75, 80 plus miles an hour. Philadelphia, 36 mile an hour winds. Atlantic City at 48 miles an hour. You'll see Baltimore at 34 and Washington getting hit pretty hard as well at 37 miles an hour. So these are your sustained wind speeds, very impressive. Let's get a look at that forecast cone. We're getting a look at hurricane tracker. Even though Sandy isn't technically a hurricane now, it's an extratropical cyclone, but again, it's starting to become more of a winter storm as it collides with that area of low pressure that was sitting there just waiting to welcome Sandy inland. You'll see at this point Sandy is coming in at about 75 miles an hour, eventually getting down to 35, 45, 30 miles an hour, but even then it's still going to provide windy conditions, lots of snow, lots of rain as well, and again we're looking at blizzard conditions to the west at this point as well through the Midwest. So we're going to continue to track that for you as we move through the next few days here. Currently at home, a much more mild forecast, and we're going to have that entire local forecast coming up for you in just a little bit, so don't go away. Rick and Sharon, back to you. Sharon, we're calling it Superstorm Sandy now, even though it's not technically a hurricane anymore. It's still doing just as much damage, if not more, because it is combining with another low pressure system, creating snow to the west. We're still dealing with heavy rain, downpours, and we're also dealing with very windy conditions and high tide as well. Let's get a look at current wind speeds in the area. New York coming in at 39 miles an hour, Atlantic City at 48, Philadelphia at 36. You'll see your winds and your waves, wind speeds, very impressive wind gusts at about 56 miles an hour offshore. And wave-wise, we got up to 16 feet, 27 feet. As we continue to the north, take a look right here. We even saw sets between 45 and 50 feet offshore. No surprise, we saw a huge storm surge today, and we have seen plenty of flooding in the area. We do want to switch gears, and we want to talk about our local forecast. Very mild compared to what we're seeing back east. You'll see radar right here showing you clear conditions for the most part, but I will tell you fog is making its way into the forecast. We did see very low visibility early this morning, and we're doing it again. We're expecting very dense fog and increasing marine layer as we head into the next couple of days. As a result, temperatures will be a little cooler for us as well. Temperatures currently in the 60s, 69 in Pasadena, 69 in Anaheim, 69 in Riverside. As we head over to Santa Monica, we're at a pretty mild 67 degrees. Earlier today, we made it to 84, average is 77, and record numbers 94. Didn't get anywhere close to that, but over the next 24 hours, we're expecting 50s, we're expecting 60s and 70s in the forecast, along with a few 80s. A quick look at our 5-day forecast. You'll see 70s across the board for the Basin in Orange County, and looks like your Halloween will be nice and mild. Rick and Sharon, back to you. 1,000 miles in diameter is exactly right. You can't see it here, but if you really envision it, 1,000 miles, just to put it into perspective for you, is from here in California, from Southern California, all the way to the Rocky Mountains, all the way to Denver. That's how big the storm is. So it's really going to be sitting over the area for quite a while, even though it will continue to move on its track. And speaking of the track, let's take a look right here. Hurricane tracker, technically no longer a hurricane, a superstorm combining with a low pressure system to the west. So as a result, now turning into a very wintry storm. We're looking at rain, we're still looking at wind, and could continue to see very strong wind gusts in the area, maybe for the next 48 hours. As the storm continues on its track, you'll see right here Sandy continuing to move. And as it does, well, you're going to see it's starting to slow down a little bit. But even though it's starting to travel at 30, 40, 35 miles an hour, doesn't mean that we're not going to feel the effects. We're going to see rain. We're going to see lots of snow as well as we head into the next few days. We're switching gears now to radar, and as we do, you're going to see a much milder forecast here at home. Clear conditions, very mild temperatures, 68 degrees in Pasadena, 67 in downtown, 68 in Anaheim, and 67 in Laguna Beach. So temperatures are cooling down. That marine layer is deepening. We're looking at a chance of a shower. The best chance will probably be north of Point Conception as we head into your Thursday, but we could maybe stand a chance of getting a drop or two here at home, especially along the coast. And we are bracing for another warm up as we head toward the weekend. So let's get a look at that 5-day forecast. We've got your weekend forecast. We've got your all-important Halloween forecast as well. Here on the West Coast, we probably will be fortunate enough to celebrate Halloween. Take a look right here. Upper 70s turning to low 70s and keeping things that way through your Thursday. There's that passing front, so we could potentially see a cooler forecast, and we could see a drop or two, but looks like most of the rain is going to continue to stay to our north Thursday. We're just going to see a cooler forecast and a cloudier forecast as well. So for the coast, we're in the 70s turning to the 60s. For the valleys and the Inland Empire, we're talking 80s, eventually 80s becoming 70s, and low 70s by your Thursday as that front passes through. Partly sunny by your Friday, and then a much warmer forecast as we head toward the weekend. We're flirting with the 80s and finally getting a look at the deserts right here. Plenty of sunshine for the next couple of days through your Halloween. Then by Thursday, we're cooling down a notch, and by Friday, a little cooler, a little bit of cloud cover, and then a little warmer as we head toward your weekend all across the board here in Southern California. So our only main concern is a few degrees of cooling and then a few degrees of warming. We really can't complain here on the West Coast. Rick and Sharon, back to you. Sylvia, we're going to continue to see the storm really take effect over the east at this point. We're looking at several watches and warnings in the area, and even though Sandy will continue to move, we're still looking at very windy onshore conditions for spots like New York. Those conditions could possibly last not just through tomorrow, but maybe over the next couple of days. We do have hurricane force wind warnings, the pink on your screen indicating just that. We've got dozens upon dozens of warnings. It would take us quite a while to to get through all of them. But in a nutshell, I will tell you, we're looking at flood advisories and warnings along the coast. We're looking at hurricane force wind warnings, even though Sandy was downgraded and is no longer a hurricane. We're also looking at blizzard warnings in effect as well to the west. No surprise. Take a look. Sandy is combining with another system. That's why we're calling it a superstorm, and it's turning into more of a winter storm versus a tropical storm. You're going to see plenty of snow. We're talking feet upon feet of snow right there. All of the white on your screen indicating snow, the pink on your screen indicating a rain-snow mix. And other than that, we're looking at lots of green, just heavy downpours, and the red areas and yellow areas on your screen indicating severe weather. We're talking lightning and thunder as well. Wind-wise, still very impressive out there. Current winds coming in at 44 miles an hour. These are your sustained winds, onshore winds for New York right now at 44 miles an hour, 32 for Philadelphia. Atlantic City getting hit very hard earlier today, coming in at 55 miles an hour. Baltimore 28, and as we head over to Washington, 32 mile-an-hour winds right now. So as we continue to track Sandy over the next couple of days, it's going to continue on through Pennsylvania, and it's going to make a turn to the Midwest. By then, we're expecting plenty of snow, and even though Sandy will be slowing down, we're still expecting to see its wrath. We're expecting to see snow. We're expecting to see rain, very heavy winds as well. We're continuing to track those and still looking at widespread rain as well. Here at home, a much different story. We're going to have your local forecast. That's just coming up in a little bit. Lena and Sylvia, back to you. Well, Lena and Sylvia, we're still tracking it right now and do want to give you some perspective. Sandy is about 1,000 miles in diameter. How much is 1,000 miles? Well, that would be the same thing as traveling from here in Southern California to the Rockies to Denver. So it is a huge system, and it won't be passing for at least a few days. Even as it gets out of the New York metro area, out of the boroughs there, we're still expecting to see very windy conditions, at least for the next 48 hours. We're looking at rain, heavy rain, lightning, and thunder, and you'll see right here we're starting to look at snow as Sandy collides with a low pressure system. It's turning into more of a winter storm versus a tropical storm. So we're going to continue tracking all of the rain and, of course, all of the snow over the coming days. Here at home, a very different forecast for us. It's very mild. It's looking pretty clear on radar, even though we are looking at a little bit of cloud cover out there and a little bit of fog, that marine layer thickening over the next few days. And with that, we're going to see cooler conditions. Temperatures quite mild tonight, 67 in Pasadena, 66 in downtown. You'll see Long Beach at 67 and Laguna Beach currently at 68 degrees. Getting down to 57 tonight, partly cloudy with a bit of low cloud cover for the basin. A westerly wind coming in at about 15 miles an hour. Morning fog, we're at 60 degrees first thing in the morning with a little bit of a sea breeze also coming in at about 15 miles an hour. And then we're checking in with the afternoon hours. We're partly sunny. It's about 77 degrees, and that wind is still coming in from the west. So we're still getting some of that cloud cover, 15 miles an hour as well. We're jumping ahead to our 5-day forecast. We've got Halloween to talk about. We've got a cooler forecast to talk about, and the weekend as well. You'll see right here 70s turning to 60s at the coast. And by Wednesday, by your Halloween, expecting partly cloudy skies by the afternoon hours. Maybe some fog by the morning hours for you trick-or-treaters out there. And checking in finally with the basin, Orange County, 70s turning to low 70s as we head into your Halloween, and a little warmer as we head toward your weekend. Lena and Sylvia, back to you. And we're getting a look at actually what was Hurricane Sandy. We'll have the latest for you coming up, and of course our local forecast after the break.
You know, I think when we finally get out of the thick of this storm, that weathercasters are going to be going back and looking at all of the numbers, all the statistics, and probably just having a heyday with it, because already some of those records are coming in.
Real history making. I mean, this is a big, busy day for you guys, even here on the West Coast.
Yeah, history on so many levels. So many different things happened today. So we're going to break it all down for you coming up in a little bit. We will have the latest on Sandy, and of course, we're going to have the latest on our local forecast as well. Let's take a look outside right now, and as we do for a while, even though it will start to move out of the New York metro area, it's still going to be affecting parts of the east and parts of the Midwest as well. We're looking at snow right here. We're also looking at severe thunderstorms, and we're also looking at heavy downpours and very windy conditions. Let's get a look at Sandy at the forecast track right now. No longer a hurricane, but an extratropical cyclone, and we're still calling it a superstorm because it is combining with low pressure to the west. So with that, we're not only looking at rain, but we're also looking at heavy snow, maybe up to 3 feet or so in West Virginia at the moment. We're looking at blizzard conditions and several blizzard warnings in place as well. Take a look right here. 35-mile-an-hour winds eventually as we head into your Wednesday, 30 miles an hour a little later in the week. Right now, still looking at about 70-mile-an-hour sustained winds in some spots, but it will start to wind down. I will tell you, along the coast, we could see onshore gusts up to maybe even 50, 60 miles an hour over the next 48 hours, so we're not in the clear yet. This was Sandy earlier today. It was a Hurricane 1 storm. It was a Category 1 storm. No longer the case, but when it was, pressure dropped down to 943 millibars. This is the lowest pressure ever recorded north of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. So we set a record right there. Storm surge was very impressive as well. Essentially, the water gets displaced, and as it does, it combines with a high tide, and we see the water rise up. As it did, we saw a 13-foot storm surge earlier today in New York. That was unprecedented. So a lot of unprecedented events earlier today. Here at home, though, a completely different weather story. Very mild here in Southern California. You're going to see that right here on radar. And you'll see your weather headline showing you just a bit of a cool down. That marine layer is going to continue to deepen. We will see maybe a chance of a shower, ever so slight. Looks like the brunt of the rain is going to be on Thursday, and it's going to take place north of Point Conception. We do have a warm up on the way as we head toward the weekend. Currently, temperatures in the 60s, 65 in downtown, 67 in Pasadena, 67 in Anaheim, and 67 in Laguna Beach. So mild night out there and a warm day earlier today. We made it to 84 degrees. That was for downtown. Average is 77, so we were above average. Record numbers, rather, 94. Didn't get anywhere close to that. Highs tomorrow look like this: Burbank 78, Ontario 86, Lancaster 82, and Oxnard getting up to a pretty comfortable 71 degrees. For the valleys in the Inland Empire, we're going from the 80s to the 70s. Plenty of sunshine by your Halloween, and then a little cooler and a little cloudier as we head toward the end of the week. By the weekend, we're pumping temperatures up a couple more degrees. For the deserts, you'll see just that. For the beaches, low 70s turning to 60s, keeping things in the 60s through your Friday, and then warming up a little bit by the time we head into your Saturday. And for the basin in Orange County, we're in the upper 70s, low 70s after that, so we're right at average, spot on for tomorrow, and then below average for the remainder of the week. By your Saturday, we're warming up just a few notches into the upper 70s, so a little above average. And for your Halloween, we're cooling down, but we are expecting mostly clear skies in the afternoon with a bit of cloud cover and a bit of fog by the coast and in the basin by the evening hours for all you trick-or-treaters out there. Lena and Sylvia, back to you.
All right.
Talk about tonight again. We do want to take you actually to Delaware earlier today. This is a time-lapse video from early this morning till about 8 o'clock East Coast time, and take a look. The tide coming up. We did see a huge storm surge, and as we mentioned, record storm surge in New York earlier today, 13 feet. So the storm surge combined with the high tide, and with that, we again got a 13-foot storm surge. Very impressive there. Lots of watches and warnings out there this evening. In particular, we've got hurricane force wind warnings. Even though Sandy's not technically a hurricane, we're still looking at very windy conditions over the next 24 to even 48 hours for the New York area, but then pretty much everybody else in the east and in the Midwest actually concerned. We've got lots of rain, snow, and wind on the way. We'll be tracking it all in your local forecast. A fog advisory just coming down here at home in just a little bit. Rick and Sharon, back to you.
All right, Evelyn.
And we're tracking Sandy as well as our forecast here at home, looking at a dense fog advisory that kicked in moments ago. We'll have the details on that momentarily. Sharon, actually getting new information coming in right now. Official information, 14 deaths reported in the U.S. just from Sandy. So that information just coming in. That was a shot outside. Here at home, we're going to get to our local forecast, but we do want to focus our attention on Sandy and on a tropical satellite right here. Sandy spanning about 1,000 miles, rather, wanted to say feet, but miles in diameter. So it is massive, and that's pretty much the size of, well, if you counted from here in California to Denver. So huge and is going to continue to stay with us for the next few days here. We're looking at rain, wind. We're also looking at snow, already a few feet reported in West Virginia at the moment. As we get a look at our forecast cone here, 75-mile-an-hour sustained winds for Sandy, continuing the path through Pennsylvania, up through the Midwest, the Great Lakes to Canada, expecting plenty of rain, wind, and snow on the way, and that's certainly something that we're dealing with right now. We're going to focus our attention here out west to our forecast here at home. We've got a dense fog advisory that came down just a bit ago. We're expecting very dense fog, a quarter of a mile or less of visibility through tomorrow morning. It expires at 9 a.m. This is for spots like Long Beach, downtown, Oxnard, Torrance. So we're talking the Ventura County coastline, the LA County coastline, and we're also talking the Orange County coastline through tomorrow morning. That fog building in, very dense, temperatures cooling down, but the fog's actually keeping temperatures quite mild at the coast, keeping the heat in. 66 in Long Beach, 67 in Laguna Beach, 63 downtown, and 65 in Pasadena. Earlier today, we made it to 84. That was for downtown. We were above average. By tomorrow, we're right at average. Burbank 78, Ontario 86, Lancaster 82, and Oxnard foggy in the morning. But by the afternoon, we're getting up to the 70s, 71 degrees. For the valleys in the Inland Empire, 80s turning to 70s. Plenty of sunshine by your Halloween, so that's good news for you trick-or-treaters out there in the evening hours. Expecting clear skies. For the deserts, clear as well. And then cooling down as we head toward the weekend. And finally checking in with the coast. Morning fog, a little more cloud cover by your Wednesday. A passing front coming through Thursday. Rain to our north, just a little cooler and cloudier here at home. Partly sunny by Friday, and then warming up as we head toward the weekend. Rick and Sharon, back to you.